Hello everyone. Today we shall discuss Indigo by Louis Fisher. Indigo by a British author, Louis Fisher, pays a glowing tribute to Gandhiji. It recalls the days when the British planters were harassing the Indian farmers in Champaran, Bihar. They forced the farmers to grow indigo and deliver all of it to them as land rent. The Germans blew the whistle and ended the monopoly of the British planters. They developed artificial indigo, a raw material for making colors. The synthetic indigo being cheap, the indigo plantation became meaningless. The planters demanded huge amounts for the release of the land. The Champaran farmers resented it. One Rajkumar Shukla persuaded Gandhiji to visit Champaran. Gandhiji persuaded a host of lawyers to fight against the injustice to Champaran farmers. Gandhiji's disobedience movement was successful. The white landlords agreed to refund 25% of the amount and that they had extorted from the poor peasants. It was a great achievement. It marked the beginning of freedom struggle. Gandhiji's mantra was to overcome fear and fight non-violently for one's rights. Let's move on to the summary. This extract from the life of Mahatma Gandhi begins with Louis Fisher telling his readers that it was the Champaran episode which made Gandhiji insist on the departure of the British. Rajkumar Shukla, a poor farmer, came to Lucknow to meet Gandhiji, who was attending the annual convention of the Indian National Congress Party in Lucknow in 1916. He asked Gandhiji to return with him to Champaran, where the poor peasants were suffering because of the ancient agreement with the British landlords. However, Gandhiji had a number of commitments all over the country and could not go with Shukla. But the latter was determined about taking Gandhiji and followed him everywhere, even to his ashram near Ahmedabad. Impressed by Shukla's persistence and stubbornness, Gandhiji agreed to meet Shukla at the Calcutta station and travel with him. On that particular date, Gandhiji found Shukla waiting for him and both of them boarded the train to Patna. They reached Rajendra Prasad's home but were not allowed to enter. The servants were familiar with Shukla, who often came to pester Rajendra Prasad to help the poor sharecroppers. But Gandhiji and Shukla were not allowed to enter the house as the servants thought that Gandhiji too was a poor yeoman. From there, they travelled to Muzaffarpur. Gandhiji had sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kriplani of the Arts College to pick him up. At the station, Kriplani was waiting with a large number of students. Professor Malkani welcomed Gandhiji to his home, which was extremely brave on his part as he was a teacher in a government school. This was because in those days, Indians in smaller towns were afraid to empathize with advocates of Home Rule. The news of Gandhiji's arrival quickly spread, and sharecroppers, along with their loyal friends, arrived to tell their stories. Gandhiji rebuked the lawyers for charging the poor peasants such high fees and also told them to stop taking the cases to court. He said that the peasants were so terrified and devastated that taking the cases to courts was useless. Instead, these peasants had to be freed from the shackle of fear which was crushing them. Gandhiji learnt of the old agreement that forced the Indian farmers to harvest indigo on 15% or 3/20ths of their land. The entire crop was given as rent to the British landlords. However, presently, the British had heard of synthetic indigo developed by Germany. They had then asked the sharecroppers to pay them a certain amount of money to be set free from the agreement. Some paid, while those who were not willing to do so were beaten up by the thugs and forced to pay up. It was at this point that Gandhiji arrived in Champaran. To get more details, Gandhiji went to the office of the Secretary of the British Landlords Association. The secretary refused to give him any information, saying he was an outsider. Gandhiji answered that he was no outsider, and then he proceeded to visit the British official commissioner of the Tirhut division. There he was bullied and asked to leave the district. He did not leave, but instead went to Motihari with several lawyers. Gandhiji heard about a peasant having been harmed and so went to visit him. However, on the way, he was stopped by the police superintendent's messenger who ordered him to leave. He signed the order and wrote that he would disobey the order. Gandhiji telegraphed Rajendra Prasad to come to Champaran with his influential friends. He also wired a full report to the viceroy. The next morning, the entire town was filled with peasants demonstrating outside the courthouse where Gandhiji was being tried for disobeying the order to leave Champaran. This was indeed the beginning of their liberation from fear of the British. The officials could not control the crowd, and court proceedings had to be stopped as Gandhiji had to be asked to regulate the crowd. Gandhiji told the court that it was a conflict of duties as he did not want to break the law, but on the other hand, because of a humanitarian and national service, he had to disregard the law. He said he was compelled because of the higher law of our being, the voice of our conscience. Gandhiji was finally released without bail. Several prominent lawyers like Rajendra Prasad, Brij Kishore Babu, and Maulana Mazharul Haq met with Gandhiji, who asked them what they would do if he was sent to jail. They first told him that they would return home, but later, feeling ashamed of their actions, they told Gandhiji that they were ready to follow him to jail. That was when Gandhiji exclaimed that the Battle of Champaran had been won. He divided them into pairs and put down the order in which they should court arrest. After several days, Gandhiji received a letter from the magistrate informing him that the lieutenant governor had ordered the case to be dropped. Thus, civil disobedience had triumphed in India for the first time. In June, Gandhiji had four extended interviews with the lieutenant governor, and as a result, a commission consisting of government officials, landlords, and Gandhiji as the sole representative of the peasants was formed. There was a huge amount of evidence against the planters, and thus they agreed in principle to make refunds to the peasants. Gandhiji began by asking for 50% of the amount, but as soon as the landlords offered a 25% refund, Gandhiji accepted immediately. He later explained that for the first time the British had been forced to give up not only some money but a part of their prestige as well. The Indians now realized that they too had rights as well as defenders to help them, and they learned courage. Gandhiji never concerned himself with only political or economic solutions. He saw how backward Champaran was both culturally and socially. He asked for volunteers, and two young teachers, Mahadev Desai and Narhari Parekh, and their wives volunteered along with several others from Bombay, Pune, and other parts of the country. Gandhiji's wife Kasturbai and his youngest son Devdas also arrived from the ashram. Primary schools in 6 villages were opened. Health conditions in Champaran were miserable, so a doctor volunteered his services and 3 medicines, castor oil, sulfur ointment, and quinine, were made available. Kasturbai talked to the women about the unsanitary and dirty conditions of the community and clothes. In the meantime, Gandhiji kept an eye on his ashram and asked for financial accounts and sent instructions by mail. He also wrote to the residents that it was time to fill the old latrine trenches and dig new ones. The Champaran episode was a turning point in Gandhiji's life. What had started as a short visit took up 7 months of his time, followed by several shorter visits. He showed the fear stricken peasants that the British could not order them about in their own country. The Champaran episode was not an act of defiance, but an effort to lessen the suffering and pain of the poor peasants. Gandhiji wanted to make the peasants realize that they were free and strong enough to stand on their own feet. Charles Freer Andrews, an English pacifist and a devoted disciple of Gandhiji, had been ordered to go on a tour of duty to the Fiji Islands and volunteered not to go if Gandhiji did not want him to. However, Gandhiji did not stop him, as he told his friends that they should not be dependent on another Englishman. Instead, Indians had to learn to be self reliant and dependent on themselves, which in turn were all tied up together with helping the sharecroppers and taking the first steps towards a free India. Thank you.